Hello and welcome everybody to our next Coda on Coda session, which is all about our executive assistant super tracker. So I am joined by my wonderful colleague, Monica, and Monica is Shashir's right-hand lady who masters everything and everything when it comes to scheduling, trips, organization, or office. She's an absolute superhero and one of my favorite Coda doc builders. If any of you are travelers, you've probably seen her traveling templates in our template gallery. They are a sight to behold. So I'm really excited that we have Monica here today to share with us how she and Shashir work together to keep the lights on and make sure that everything's moving forward. But Monica, want to introduce yourself to the group? Let them know a little bit about who you are, what you did before Coda, and kind of what your focus is right now.
Hello, everyone. Well, thanks for having me. I've been working for Shashir, like next to him, elbow to elbow for now 7 years. Actually, we realized that last week. So before Coda, I worked for him. I supported him when he was working at YouTube. He's actually one of the main reasons why I came back from Google New York to California to work for this Shashir guy. And when he decided to leave Google to start this new adventure at Coda, it was a no-brainer for me to go. And I think that's what has helped me we have gone through a whole process of that has taken us to this point of having a super tracker, right? We have tried everything before, tried to figure out how to manage things. And yeah, this is what we have built and hopefully works for you guys or inspire you to build your own version.
Totally. And yeah, you were part of the first 6 people for Coda, right? We had a couple engineers, Shashir, and you, yes?
Yes. A lot of like, how do we do this?
Yes,
so this is the good part of Coda. I think as I build documents, I build these documents thinking about that first week, first year, first month, where I wish I had these Coda docs to help me with everything from tracking meetings to building offices to planning trips and a bunch of stuff like that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, for those of you who've never been to one of our crowdcasts before, just so you know how to get in touch with us today, because obviously Monica and I have some things we want to share with all of you, but really we want to make sure we answer all of your questions. Hey, Jonathan, good to have you with us today. So if you've got a question, over on the right side of your screen, there's a chat field. Jonathan's already found it, so gold star for you, sir. You can use that to post any ideas or thoughts you've got there for me and Monica. But if you do have a question, I would ask, just click on the Ask a Question button right below Monica and my faces. That'll make sure that we don't lose anything. You can always make sure that it doesn't get lost and it's right there. Also, if you're not sure, like, oh, maybe I don't have a question, but I'm interested in what other people are asking, you can still click on it and then upvote or downvote questions based on what you're interested in too. So just know that those are your 2 ways to get in touch with us today. So Monica, let's do a little bit of an origin story on this doc. What were the tools before Coda that you and Shashir were using to manage both of your time and keep everything running? So let's get the previous picture of what that looked like.
So I think, like I said earlier, I think we have tried everything. On my side, personal side, it has gone from Post-its, notepads, digital notepads, email. The most current one, and I think the most used, is making an email unread. And then your inbox becomes your inbox, your to-do list, your reminder, your everything, right? And then I think with Shashir, we for once we try, like me sending him emails on Friday night for him to go over them over the weekend, but I'm like, I'm kind of forcing. I know he's working over the weekend sometimes, but I didn't want to be one of the reasons why he had to pay attention to work. And then it was kind of like maybe he was. It was like a lot of, we don't know when I'm gonna get an answer about this because the guy is busy, right? So when we started Coda, we're like, okay, let's just get a system. And then also for myself, because my inbox became my everything, I was like, how do I keep track of these meetings that he really needs to attend or that I need to schedule? Which one is the most important one? Which one he needs to have in person or VC and things like that. So we're like, let's start with this like meeting tracker. That's so he knows what's going on with meetings. That's just so he doesn't have to stop in the middle of his day to be like, hey, Monica, where are we with a meeting with Maria that we need to do? Because that's very important. And I'm like, oh, hold on, let me drop putting this furniture together in our new office to answer to this chat, right? And
Yes.
giving him an update. So
Mhm.
I think it went from post-its, emails, inbox, piece of paper, like me
Sure.
catching him, like when he's running, I don't know, to another meeting for like 1 minute. I'm like, please, I need 10 seconds, I swear.
Yes.
So I think that's pretty much all the methods we
Yeah.
were using before. Um,
Mhm.
and again, I tried to use the app here, another app here, another app here, but
Mhm.
then you get to a point when when you're an EA, you're already multitasking, right? So I
Sure.
always say, I already multitask. I don't need multiple apps to keep track of my multiple tasks. Then it
You're
just becomes
multi-up,
like a whole
multitask.
exactly.
Yeah.
So we needed something that is our core. Like for me,
Mhm.
this like, as we have built it has become the core of my like EA world, I guess.
Yeah, totally. And one thing you said that I think is was such an eye opener for me is that you and Shashir maybe only get a minute, 30 seconds
Mhm.
at a time to like touch base on something. So it doesn't make sense to have to like start from scratch and like, oh, I need this thing, like to have this just a spot
Yeah,
where your two brains can come together. So why
yeah,
don't we actually dive into the doc? Let's take a look. You want to share your
let's do it.
screen and we'll explore it. Also, Diane
Let's,
is really interested to know about kind of the different automations and stuff that you've built into here too.
oh,
So we'll we've got some
my
good stuff for
favorite.
you,
Oh
Diane.
yeah. All right, let's
Awesome.
just start with this pretty quick. Let me know. Can you see the
Great.
screen?
I can see it. Looks good.
Perfect for everyone. That's Shishir,
Yep, there it is.
our CEO and co-founder. And
Mhm.
then again, very happy. And honestly, the picture reflects our feeling about this document. We just like honestly love it.
Oh, yes.
Um, so when it comes to automation, which is a great question, I'm going to start pretty much from the ending part of the document, like what is the result of this
Great.
and why the main purpose of this. And then I'm going to kind of go back on where all this information comes from
Awesome.
and how this was built. So pretty
Cool.
much, like I said, it's like it's an automation where this is kind of like the most important thing of the document for me. And
Mhm.
this is what through automations, it gets emailed to Shishir and myself every night at 11 p.m., which you can do. You can like you can customize it to do it every 3 hours,
Sure.
6 hours, 12 hours. But for me, it's like I know his schedule is like at 11 p.m. That's when he's working.
Mhm.
So or like at 10 p.m. that's when he's working. So he's gonna go through this, be done, and at 11 p.m. I get it. Doesn't mean that I have to check at 11 p.m. But when I
Mhm.
wake up first time in the morning, I already have all my answers, all my updates, everything exactly.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
we divided, like if you see also in our sections, we have the sync, we have MC, which is me, my initials, my world, and then Shishir's world. But in this document, the sync, we have kind of like both the summary of both sections together. So it
Mhm.
starts with the first one. So this 12 here actually is a formula of items that he needs to take care of, like he needs to
Mhm.
handle. So we start with this one. So you're going to see later when I show you what we call meeting requests, that
Mhm.
there's some of them where I need to share something. You know, answer me, tell me about this, where do you want it, how soon, blah, blah, blah. Or
Yeah.
sometimes it's not meeting request related. It is like, for example, like pick up a laptop. I know that he needs to get one. And
Yeah.
then I don't have to send him on chat or Hangouts or Slack or anything or
Totally.
emails. Everything goes here. Um, and this is like a little chat that we built. If you look at this, where it says MC, SSM. So pretty much as simple as that. You want to Zoom or in person with this meeting, and then he reads my chat. This turns automatically to green, and then he replies. So that
Mhm.
way now we have integrated in a way chat into our document. So I don't
Mhm.
have to go to other application to figure out, hey, what decision did he made about Joanne Reeves? I just
Mhm.
go here. And then so this kind of becomes all the things that I need him to like give me information about.
Yeah.
This here are automated, like these are meeting requests that I have entered that have come from my Gmail, which I'm gonna go back into this when I get into my world.
Mhm.
But for Shashir, it's very important that he knows that he categorized all these meetings. Where is
Yeah.
he putting his time? Is he going to clients? If he's going to recruiting, is he going
Mhm.
to projects and things like that? So sometimes I know what these meetings are about. So it's easy for me to know, like, I heard him saying like, hey, Nikhil, yeah, let's meet like
Sure.
tomorrow. So I know this is high priority, but I'm like, oh, shoot, hold on. I don't remember. But then in this case, I know it's a business external. So once I categorize that, it's just going to disappear. So the goal for these areas is to be zero, inbox zero, table zero, right? So Maui, I know that is here, work general. This one I know is this. And then this one is here. And then once that all this are kind of done, it's just going to go away. So that's pretty much where it needs to categorize and prioritize. So I know which ones, okay, I need to go straight to the ones with high priority and get those done like ASAP.
Yeah.
And then this table here below is pretty much the same. But what happens here is that we have calendar sync to this document as well. So let's say Maria comes in and he's like, hey, Shishir, we need to meet about the growth pipeline of our company, whatever.
Yeah.
And then she's like, hey, add it to my calendar, whatever. Before it was like, he will have to be like, hey, check with Monica to see when I have time, blah, blah, blah. Because I wanted to be able to keep track of the things that were added to his calendar, right? To make sure they work and all that.
Yeah.
So now Maria or anyone can go to his calendar, add it, which you can always do on Gmail. But then my concern was like, how are we going to know where his time is going for all these meetings that a third party is adding? So now they get here. So if they do not have a category, they just show up here, and then we can just do it. So there is no like random meetings that get added to his calendar, and the time cannot be allocated to a specific category. Now we can just do it. And then, so that's pretty much this year's world. And again, all these this table with 3 rows in each, they're just, the goal is to have them blank, nothing to be uncategorized. And then it gets to my work, which is the one that I love. So
Monica's world.
Coach, like a little glimpse to it. So like I said, one of the biggest thing, I think the conflicts that happen in calendars when we're supporting someone is when like Shishir is going to a meeting, he's like, I don't have a room. Or the conference room declined, or actually, you know what, Maria declined this meeting. I'm here sitting in a conference room and I'm waiting for someone, or someone added like a meeting, and then it's just there's a conflict that they didn't think of. So this is what we call events flagged, which is one of my most favorite features.
And this is also pulling in from the Google Calendar pack, right, Monica? Yeah,
exactly.
Nice.
This one, every time you see here, I don't know if you can see here my mouse. Every time you see little calendar, that means that all this data is coming from calendar. You will see it here as well. So, for example, Lauren works with us, added this meeting. So when I see, so it's going to flag it. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. It just means that Monica didn't create it. So I know that I don't know if there was a meeting added, a meeting room, a Zoom link. The invites and everything, or if there's conflicts, or if he needs to, when our guys or girls need to go to a different meeting, to a different office, and you need transit time, so you need to allocate all that. So pretty much I just go over here and I'm like, here, clear flag, location is blank, for example. So it's like, okay, hold on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my calendar, open this calendar invite, and make sure the location is added. Here, for example, Sam, he declined. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, so that we have this confirmed for today. Let me just check my inbox. Did he decline last minute? And indeed, last night, he said, hey, guys, I'm sorry, I cannot make it last minute. I'm deal with last minute things. So this has helped us to avoid so many conflicts, so many missed meetings, so many like, where do I go? When something is about to start. And then here, this SSM FYI. So she shares someone, and like I said, like the purpose of this document is for us to have a communication where it doesn't have to happen in person. Like I can be traveling in Europe or a vacation or something, or for business, he can be traveling for business. And then he doesn't have to wait until like for 8 hours until we wake up if I'm on Pacific Coast to figure out what's going on.
Totally.
So he just goes, this is kind of like, for him to know what's going on. Every time that, again, you see the little calendar here is because this is synced to calendar. So every time that I create a meeting, he can see them here, and then here, for example, this one is actually really cool. High last communication time. So sometimes, you guys are familiar with when someone emails us and we email them and we just don't hear from them. They just go like
Mhm.
silent mode.
Yeah.
So this one keeps us, help us, and we're like, what's going on? So this helps me to like this show us how many days have passed since the last time we emailed with that person,
Mm, very
and
cool.
who was the last person who emailed last.
Mhm.
So, like you see, I emailed Lisa, I emailed Nikhil 10 days ago. I haven't heard from them.
Mhm.
So that's how she sure knows, like, oh, okay, it's not about like, oh, Monica's on top of her thing at all. It's never been
Mhm.
that feeling. It's just more about like, okay, they're not the ones who are um like emailing us back. Monica, do
Right.
you need me to like ping Lisa just to know? Do you want me to push a little bit for this
Yeah.
meeting and things like that? And then over here, you just pretty much meeting requests. Oh, sorry. You see all the pendings one, which I'll show you once we get to my world, and he knows which meetings are still pending.
Mhm.
Um, and this is another feature that I love. Um, Snooze meetings,
Yeah.
kind of going back to the high last communication where I say, hey, by the way, Alisa has an email in 10 days. And then he's like, oh, actually, you're right. They're doing this like Q2 analysis, blah, blah, blah. I
Mhm.
know they're going to be like, they're not doing meetings for the next 3 weeks. Let's snooze her until X date.
Yeah.
And you will see that pretty soon in a second. But this is where he keeps track of all the meetings
Mhm.
that we have snoozed for X reason.
Yeah. What I love about this,
Any,
Monica, is that it allows you to still have like full awareness of everything that's going on without you having to be like a bottleneck, right? Like it doesn't have to be people have to ping you and then get it because if they add something to the calendar, you automatically understand like what's coming in. You can then move it around if you need to. You can
Mhm.
see all of the potential issues. So it's like you still are at the kind of the core of it, but it doesn't seem like it's causing like any productivity lapses. It actually lets you be more productive, which is super cool.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Nice.
I think that this has not eliminated, but has reduced the amount of time where I'm like stopping my flow of work.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
because, like, probably all of you guys know, this is not all the only thing we do, right?
Yes.
And then this is one of the tiny things that we do. And then we have all these people kind of asking us questions and help and
Mhm.
all that. So this has helped me to, one, keep track of all this. So I know what's going on in my world, and most importantly, in my the person supporting Shishir's world. But
Yeah.
then also, it's kind of like he can also know what's going on, so I don't have to interrupt his world either to be
Yeah.
like, hey, do you need this over Zoom or in person? Well, it's
Right.
a meeting that is taking place next week, so it's not that important. But for me, for our workflow, it is important because we want to be like done with this meeting
Mhm.
schedule, right? So it's been,
Yeah.
and then also for interactions with the rest of the team, it's just not with your executive, but like that's why I love the whole flag part, is because I don't have to ping, hey Lauren, did you book this room or blah blah blah. Now
Mhm.
I can do everything pop 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 super fast, clear
Yeah.
that, make that events flag table 0, and keep going with my other projects.
Mhm. Yeah, it kinda lets both of
So
you move at your own pace, and then to flag things that the other one needs to know about so that as you're going through your day, you still have that connection without ever interrupting each other, which is super
yes,
cool.
there is no
Awesome.
more like running when he's going from one conference room to another one to be like, hey, I need you, please,
I'm
can you tell
no.
me this? Exactly. No more of that.
Totally. Well, why don't
Um,
we jump over to MC World since that populates part of this. So let's get the deep dive into what Monica's
Perfect.
day then looks like.
Perfect. Little image over there is from Peru, where I'm from. So that's where the accent is from, guys. Um, okay, so this is my world. This is what I do. This is what I check every day. It's just natural. Like that, this table is like open to me all the time. So it's pretty much split in these different sections. So triage, I'm gonna start with this one. If you see, it's like this is a demo, so that's why it's a failed, but usually will be live information, live data that comes in.
Mhm.
And this is linked to my Gmail. So what happens is that on Gmail, um, I didn't used to like labels at all, to be
Mhm.
honest. Like I was like, for me, labels, I'm like, I can label and I'm not gonna pay attention. I just need my inbox. So now,
I'm the same way.
yeah. So I start using labels, only one, which is the most important to me, which is because it's linked to this. So I label emails like as meetings. So once that I label a specific email as meeting, then I don't have to worry about it in my inbox. It just comes to this triage. It just
Totally.
comes. So all of these like threads, like you can see here, all these
Mhm.
Gmail threads is labeled the meetings, and they automatically show up here.
Nice.
So this recognizes who email, who's in the thread, what the title, dates, and all this information, right?
Mhm.
So what this does is this allows me as well to kind of add these people, all these people that Shishir has met or is going to meet with, to his contact list. So
Mhm.
that way, if in a year he's like, hey, have I ever met with Adam Nash? And I'm like, hold on one second. I'm just gonna like hop over like to his name, and then I'll be like, yeah, you actually met with him on March 23rd, blah blah blah
Mhm.
blah blah. So
Because that goes
how
into
many?
the people table with like that's also
Yes,
populated with the last contact moment, and that Shashir can also have access to that too, as well.
exactly.
Cool.
Yes, yes, yes. So I met with this person this many times. He was at this company for this loan, working on this specific project,
Mhm.
and this person were in the meeting as well. It's
Cool.
fantastic. So there are different cases scenarios. I'm just gonna go kind of one by one.
Awesome.
So yes, you know how the flow of this goes. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. They're kind of coming up and populated from the email.
Mhm.
And then this recognizes that Adam Nash is now part of our contact list. So
Cool.
something as simple as that, I just go and add Adam Nash here. And then it goes create a meeting request for Adam Nash. So I'm going to open this. So you see my meeting request here, right?
Mhm.
So once I create a meeting request, MRs for meeting request for
Yep.
Adam Nash, he is going to show up right there. You see him?
Nice.
So, and then he's gone from my triage. I don't have to worry about it.
Mhm.
And then he's gone here. So kind of like the same thing. Zachary, for example, was already in my contact list, so I don't have to add him to the
Mhm.
people table that you can see here. So automatically, I just go create meeting request for Zach. He's gonna show up in my meeting
It's
request
added too.
table.
Cool.
And then, for example, Rachel goes on. Rachel runs our communications. So I don't need a meeting request for Rachel. I need a meeting request about a briefing,
Mhm.
right? So what I just go here and override subject, I just go briefing. Let's just go
Cool.
like that. And you see how the name for the meeting request changed?
Yeah.
So that is gonna then a brief meeting comes like shows
Cool.
up. And then, for example, this one is also not cool. So Ali, we already have a meeting request for Ali. So the system recognizes that he's in the thread, and
Mhm.
Shital is his assistant. So that's why, oh no, the meeting is not going to happen with Shital, so we don't need to add her. So we just here the system will recognize, hey, there is already an existing meeting with Ali. Do you want to just link this thread to that? And I'm like, yep. And then
Cool.
why that happens, I'm going to show you here pretty quick. I'm going to show you here. If you open this row, if you expand it,
Mhm.
you're going to see all the email thread related. So Gmail gets populated here.
Nice.
So for example, that was Sam that when in my flag event table showed that he had declined the meeting. So that's why it's here. Hey, Monica, apologies, I cannot make it. So then everything kind of connects and makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to
And those
go here.
buttons, Monica, is it
Mhm.
just saying, it's like add a new row to
Exactly.
the meeting request table, and then does it just filter out once you've
Great question.
triaged?
Yes. So
Cool.
I'm going to
Awesome.
open up this a little bit so you guys kind of see it.
Yeah, great.
So sorry. Um, little formals over there. So what happened is like the action is going to modify a row. So what is going to happen is going to create a meeting request. And then this here is filtered to show, you go here and just, it's going to show only the meetings that are like when a meeting request is not created. When there is no
Sure.
meeting request linked to that row, it's
Mhm.
going to be there. But once
Great.
there is a meeting request created, this disappears. And again, the goal for this is to be 0.
Yep.
So that means I don't have any emails in my inbox that I have to worry about because everything is in my meeting request table. So
Cool.
this becomes my playground. This becomes what I start dragging things, changing, and all that. So
Mhm.
these many colors can be a little bit intimidating at the beginning, but bear with me.
You always know it's a Monica doc when there's lots of colors.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you guys will probably relate, but for me, colors is not too much. Yeah, it makes a document look pretty, but for me, colors means data.
Yes.
So
Yes.
anything I see red is like something that I need to get to it. Yellow, I know that it's already rolling.
Hmm.
Gray, at the bottom, Jonathan and Paul is snoozed. Red font means that there is an input needed from Shishir that he needs to tell me, hey, what's going on with Joanne?
Cool.
So bear with me. So if you kind of go from left to right, so you have a statuses, which is anything that I just moved from my triage to this table is going to show up here because I
Hmm.
haven't taken any action about any of those threads or
Cool.
emails. And then if you remember in the SSM and MC sync that I showed you earlier, where you need to categorize all the, which Shishir needs to go in and categorize all these emails
Hmm.
and all these meeting requests. This is why. Because
Yeah.
whenever he's doing that, everything here in my table is moving. So as soon
Hmm.
as he goes and categorizes Adam as like hi, what's gonna happen? And I'm gonna show you a little feature that I love. This is gonna be like Adam is gonna show here in this
Yep.
bucket of hi.
Hmm.
So that's why it's important for him to prioritize, and that's pretty much kind of like the compromise is like, hey, I'm gonna keep you like updated about everything, all these meetings, but in order for me to know which ones go first, which ones you need right now
Hmm.
and need to confirm these meetings, you need to add an urgency to them.
Yeah. So like
So
Shashir could be adding urgency, after he's put his kids to bed and like before he's, getting ready to go to sleep, he's
yeah,
able to just add all the urgency and then you wake up the next day, you see it in the SSM MC sync, but you also then would see this table updated too. Yeah.
yes, yes.
Right on.
And then and just to make a comparison how it worked before, as I'm going through this, I'm kind of remembering our own methods. So before him and I kind of like, I think we kind of had like a secret language when he replied to emails and CC me, because that's the usual thing, right?
Uh-huh.
They reply to an email, CCing Monica, CCing one of you guys, Jonathan, one of you guys, and then sure, happy to meet over a few weeks, or so. For me, it's kind of like, okay, I think that translate into doesn't have to happen like this week or next, but it can happen in 2 weeks, blah blah.
It's like
Um,
Morse code.
yeah, yeah. So exactly. So I was like, okay, if you wanted a Zoom, make sure you write Zoom in the email address, right?
Mhm.
In the email reply. If you don't write Zoom, then I'm like, okay, it can be either way and things like that. So
Mm.
now we don't need that anymore.
Yeah.
He just goes here. We know what high, medium, and low mean.
Mhm.
And then it's just natural. Like there
Yeah.
is not that like, oh, do you really
Tell
mean
was that this or this? Yeah.
exactly? So
Mhm.
this is what helps. And then okay, so this is the urgency color code. So these colors are based on the category of these events.
Uh-huh.
You don't have to do anything. As soon as he goes and categorize Joan as a candidate, this is gonna show yellow because that's our color for that category.
Cool.
As soon as he goes advisorship for Sam, it's gonna show blue.
Mhm.
And then task is pretty much what I just created in triage, which you guys
Yep.
saw, where is the name of the person that he's meeting with, or in Rachel's case, which she's our comms person, I just
Mhm.
changed the name of the meeting.
Cool.
Details is kind of like you can write whatever you want,
Mhm.
sync later, whatever you want. And then here, this little thing, it means that this column is linked to calendar.
Cool.
So
Nice.
if there was a meeting already created in calendar for this, that I'm like, oh, sure, hold, like Sam, for example, right? I was emailing with
Mhm.
Sam, hey, I'm holding 3 p.m.,
Yeah.
What I like to do is I enter in the calendar, hold, so nobody takes that spot.
Mhm.
So once that he emails me and confirms it, he's like, yeah, Monica, 3 p.m. work for him, or I don't know which time I said. Let's see, if you hover over it, you can see pretty much at what time the
All the
event.
details. Yeah.
And he's like, yes, April 4th works for me. Let's hold it.
Mhm.
So then this is where this happens. These little buttons over here.
Yes.
IP in progress, CNF confirmed, needed
Mhm.
input. I need him to give me input about
Yeah.
it. So these are actions, these are buttons that I push so he
Mhm.
knows. So let's say, let me just go, Zachary, I've been emailing with Zach. So he's not a new thread anymore, a new request anymore. So just push in progress and you're going to see how this is going to jump to my yellow bucket here.
Yeah. Awesome.
And then once this is confirmed, for example, let's say, okay, Sam is confirmed. I'm just gonna do confirmed, and it's
Mhm,
gonna disappear from this table. Doesn't mean that the
mhm.
whole row is gone. I'll show you in a second where it goes. But
Yep. Oh, they're
so
filtering out different ways depending on or moving into a different group depending on how you've classified that whole row's information. Nice. Cool.
exactly, and this is the cool thing about Coda, so that all our tables are connected. So even though you don't see like the confirmed meetings in this table, here, are gonna show. These are all my confirmed meetings.
Ah.
Exactly. So like if I go here, I'm gonna open group operated and I'm gonna be like, oh, okay, actually meeting confirmed. Actually, no, we are working on this now.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go in progress and it's gonna show here, we're operator.
Cool.
So you see, no, because I don't see my confirmed meetings in this table doesn't mean that there are no link. And
Mhm,
the same thing when I go to the sync and everything. So what I showed you earlier, remember guys, about when was the last communication?
mhm.
So this is where I see, okay, this person hasn't replied to me in 10 days, 18 days, 41 days.
Cool.
And then who was the last person who emailed? So
Mm,
ideally, I want to see all green here because green means that I was the one who emailed them.
sure.
When it's like, okay, Rachel, for me, this one means like, oh, gosh, I need to email Rachel about this,
Mhm,
or Sam, or Al, and things like that. And then snooze, as simple as
mhm.
that. He's like, hey, I was like talking to Jonathan. He's gonna be away for I don't know another month. So let's ping him again on like early May.
Mhm.
So I go here and then you snooze it. Oh, sorry, he was already snoozed. Let me just do Andy. Let me just go here. We're gonna Andy until this day, like that. And he should go to my snooze little
Cool.
bucket over here.
And all
So
of that then is being
there we
also
go.
populated by Gmail, right? As far as, oh, the last email happened, that's being pulled in
Yes.
from Gmail as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, so it's not like you have to go in and enter that
Mhm.
in. It's just automatically happens. Cool.
Yes,
Nice.
exactly. I don't do so. Again, when it coming back to the very first question of the webinar about automate or request about automations, all this once that we sync Gmail, we sync calendar, you can change the settings to how often you want those things to happen.
Mhm.
So like I know that this is live information every 15 minutes, I believe, or 10 minutes,
Yep.
you can refreshes. And if you
Mhm.
want, you can always go manually and just push like a refresh if you want to sync
Yeah.
it right now to, I don't know, you want to have like the most
Mhm.
late, like the latest information.
Yeah.
So any questions about this meeting request? I know, like I say, whenever you see it, you're like, oh, what are these buttons, colors, and everything. But
Yeah.
I hope that is clear.
And what I like what you've done here, and again, if anybody has questions, just add it into the ask a question option. You don't have to wait for me and Monica to stop talking at all. But one of the things that I really like about what you and Shishir have done here, Monica, is that it's very much in like your shared language, right? Like the
Yes.
two of you all know what IP, CNF, all of that means, and the MR, you've got like your own coding here that both of you are able to just very clearly understand exactly where every single thing is. So, as I would
Yeah.
say and recommend for anybody, if you're thinking about building something for yourself and someone else or your team, to really honor how all of you discuss and converse. Like, you don't have to use someone else's language. You can really get as specific as possible because all of these things can be customized and named as you see fit to meet your process. Cool. Love it,
Absolutely.
Monica. Well, should we
Absolutely.
drop into to Shashir's world, see what his side of the equation looks like?
Yeah, and then I just wanted to like add a
Oh
little
yeah, go
thing
ahead.
there on the whole, like as you guys know, we kind of learned, we kind of built our own language. We kind of know what words means, like
Mhm.
how the people, the person, or the people, employer, the person that we support, what they mean when they say this and all that.
Yeah.
So this is the thing, like this is not something that she created on his own and made me adapt to it, nor the other way. It's something that I was like, okay, I know you have 12 meetings every single day, but we just need to build this because at the end, this is going to reduce the time that I take from you, right?
Yes.
So once that we build this, and also kind of like, guys, I know it's like hard to ask someone to change their method. Like for
Mhm.
me, it takes a lot for me to be like, okay, Monica, stop doing something this way. Now use this new product. And I'm like, why would I
Yeah.
do it? The only exception that I make is when that new application or new document, new system helps me and like to have a better work life quality, I
Yeah,
guess I
totally.
should call it.
Yeah,
Um,
that you don't have to spend time chasing Shashir around or him chasing you around to like try and get, you can just move whenever you're ready. And what I've liked what you said earlier is like both of you travel a lot too. And you know, right
yeah,
now we're all working from home as well. So you don't have to worry about being in the same space. Like no matter where you are and what your circumstances are, this doc is the thing that you kind of hold through together, which I think is really
yeah.
neat.
Like imagine like right now, like how would I get into how would I get all the answers that I need about all these meetings, about all these tasks and everything I need from Shishiri? I'm like, oh, I don't have to worry about it. I have this. So anyway, just pretty quick, whenever you need input, this is also it's a copy from the meeting request meetings table, sorry, that we had. So every time I need input from Shishir, I just go here, I push this little button, and it's gonna show up in here. And then this is where I go chat. Hey, can we reschedule for 1 week? You are too busy this week, and then I just go here,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's gonna show here. It's our little built-in chat that we created. And for example, whenever he tells me here, I just go check mark, thumbs up, and then how his chat turned green, so he knows
Mm-hmm.
I read it and that I acknowledge it and I'm working on it.
Yeah.
And this is just me personal, is pretty much all the tasks. This is not related to meetings at all. It's a
Mhm.
different people, unlinked. And these are all the things that I'm working on that he tells me they
Cool.
need to do during our one-on-ones or things like that. And
Yeah.
then mainly I'm going to talk. So I've been talking a lot about my world. Um,
It's a good world. I like being there with you.
and it's important for us to understand the person who support their world and how they're thinking and how they're prepping. And, our role is just not about like booking meetings and things like that. It's about analysis as well. It's kind of identify when they need a break, when they're like way behind because probably it's a last minute project or things like that. So this is his world. And then I have a view of that and allows me to actually support him in a way better and efficient way. So his inspiration is about this trainer. He's a co-founder of Intercom, and then what he does, and he posted this on Twitter. It was this very very true. So the emails is what others think that you should work on. Emails are something that I'm gonna send him, and I'm like, I need you to reply to this right away. In the same way that I'm emailing him, 7 other people from 7 different projects are emailing him as well, and they think that they're
Mhm.
as important as I am or anybody else.
Yeah.
And then he does we all do our to-do list, right? So this is what things that we're like, okay, I need to do this and this and this and this. But as you guys probably know, pretty much our bosses are going to go by what their calendar says,
Yes.
right?
Calendar is the king.
What it says, for how long, how soon, and with who.
Mm.
So that kind of like becomes kind of the actual work, what you do. So he also has a triage like I do. You don't
Mhm.
see his emails here, but what this one is, it kind of tells him, hey, this numbers here on the left, the colors that I showed you guys earlier, like yellow is like candidates or recruiting,
Mhm.
advisorship, and all those things. So he's actually really really good, opposed to me, about like labeling. He is organized to the dot.
Yes.
So then, and I think that kind of helps him to kind of manage his time,
Mhm.
right? So what this does is like every single time that he doesn't have, that he has emails that he hasn't addressed or categorized them
Mhm.
or things like that, it shows like that. So if he has over 51 emails that he hasn't
Ooh.
categorized,
Ooh.
you know, exactly. Or he hasn't assigned a project to it, it's gonna show here. If he
Mhm.
has over 10, it's gray. And if it's below 10, as you can see here, there are no colors.
Mhm.
And once again, colors become like a specific language, an
Yes.
untold language, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, so he's like, whoa, okay, hold on. This is no good. So what
Mhm.
he does is he goes back to his Gmail or like the email that he uses, start categorizing, start assigning, prioritizing, assign projects and everything. And then he's
Mhm.
gonna come here, refresh email counts, and then all these numbers are kind of like gonna
Yep.
clear. So the purpose of this is to have no colored cells in this two. Everything
Mhm.
to be 10 or below.
Mhm.
And then, oh, go ahead.
I was
Any,
just
oh,
going to
sorry.
say, and this number scale, this is how Shashir kind of categorizes his work after years and years of him developing his own sort of to-do management process. So this is like, again, in Shashir's very specific language. Cool.
Yeah. First day of me supporting him 7 years ago. First day, little table with what each color meant for calendar.
I love it.
At the beginning was like, what? And then I'm like, oh my gosh, it makes so much sense. It makes my life. How can you have only one color in your calendar? I will tell people. Um,
I have 4 colors that I
anyway,
use.
good progress. Believe me, one color is not good. Happy to help anyone. We have a document about color coding categories and emails and everything. If you guys ever want to do that, it does it
Mhm.
automatically on your calendar. It's amazing.
Oh, let me go. I'll try and find it and post it to chat while you pull up the next thing.
Oh yeah, it's super good. It gets linked to your email. So if you label your email to like meetings, events, ruse, uh, internal happy hours, whatever you want, you just label them, and then in the Coda doc, it automatically your calendar will grab the color that you assign to that specific label or category. It's amazing.
All right, I just
Um,
grabbed it.
I
Oh,
can nerd out on
Shashir
colors.
beat me to it. Oh, cool. Great. Awesome. Thanks,
Yeah.
Shashir.
Anyway, so when it comes to priorities, again, the priorities for our bosses change every week, every quarter, every month. So again, this is going to show projects. Usually, it's a specific name of what it is. So then, these are the things that he is working. His priority, SSM, that's him, his initials. So these are his priorities, right? They're going to show here. You see all them here in tables. That's awesome. I don't like when I have huge long tables, so I love that we can expand and collapse.
Yeah.
And then this ones are other projects that people are working on, our teams are working on. And I think the way I see it is that it allows him to have a visual on what is going on. And also is like, oh, actually, you know what? I think I'm almost done with this project green that I'm working on. I can jump on this project 3, let's call it like that.
Yeah.
So, and then he can just like go ahead and drag it to here if he wants to, and things like that.
And I just want to highlight here how this is how Shashir is thinking about his work is different from how Monica is thinking about her work. Notice how even though they're working on the same general space, Shashir is organizing it in a way that his brain really likes. This whole, double grouping across 2 areas and then having the checklist, whereas Monica has that more table just of all the rows, because that's how their styles work. And they don't have to change based on the other person. They can both have it their way and still have everything come together. So just a little highlight there that it's okay to own how you like to think about your work and how you like to organize it. And that's why we really love being able to just change up your display and change how you group things based on you and who you are. So just a little Coda, the more you know, commercial break there.
Oh yes, I mean, until this day, I don't understand how my eyes go to a specific way of setup of my table. And his way is like completely different.
Yeah.
But what I love is that the data is the same. So when he tells me, hey, this and this and this and this, I get it, even though we both see in our screens in completely different layouts.
Yeah. And that's why I like that
he,
you've got the Shashir world and the Monica world, and then they it's the same stuff, but it allows you to just kind of think about it the way that your brains like it. So neither one of you has to make a compromise in that way.
It's crazy because even though it looks different, we both dance the same music style, That's what it is. We can dance, we can figure out how to move.
I love that.
And then here, actually, this is pretty cool. I forgot to mention this. You can add like little filters, here in this is categories. And then here you can select it all, but you can actually like kill a couple of them if you just want to make it like projects that are only specific to those categories.
Cool.
And again, this is, you see how I went like short. And this has something to do with, again, if we're going back to the first section I showed you, the sync that we have both of us, we're asking, hey, where he goes and categorize all these meeting requests that I either manually enter or they come from Google Calendars.
Right.
He categorizes them and everything goes here. And then also this you can drag, and he's like, when do you want? What timeline are we looking at? In 2 weeks, 1 week, and things like that.
Cool. Oh, I
So
like that.
you want to be like, hey, how is going to be his workflow for the next like month, since we're all working from home? How has that affected?
Yeah.
Or if he has a lot of travel coming for the summer, or especially the holidays, right, guys, when you have
Mhm.
like Thanksgiving, like Christmas break and New Year's break and everything.
Yeah.
So 2 months become only 4 weeks of work. So that kind of thing kind of like helps us
Cool.
planning our quarters. And
Yeah, like you
then
can zoom in and
also
zoom
this
out.
one with
Neat.
exactly. And then also you use that only just not for him and you, like for that double interaction, but if we're in a meeting with teams planning the whole year for
Mhm.
the company, or
Yeah.
we have hackathons that we love to do and everything internally, we're like, oh, hold on 1 second, let me just take a look on how his world is looking to make sure that we can
Totally.
allocate events properly. And
Yeah.
then when it comes to the weekly alignment, oh, I think he loves this and I love this. Um, Again, like I mentioned earlier, we just become like an analyst of our boss's time, the people that we support their time,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes they're just like working, and then we need to be like, hey, hold on, you need a break for this because this is happening. Or you know what? You are working a ton. So I'm gonna add a little block because I just saw that your backlog here is 110. You have
Aha.
one red, is no good. Red is no good. That's over 50 homework, big homework.
You need a timeout,
So
Shashir.
so you kind of like figure this out, how he aligns this kind of like what helps, right? How much
Mhm.
time he's spending on specific projects and everything. So all these ones here, all these by day category projects and
Mhm.
everything, it's like different views of the same table.
Yeah.
I so you see, for example, he likes to. So what this table does, if you see it here, you see the calendar little log icon. So this is synced to Gcall, um,
Mhm.
and all these are meetings that are showing up in his calendar. The colors, once again, little dots are the category for each meeting. This one's, the category, what they are.
Mhm.
This one, he can now link, we added this recently. He can add a specific project if there is
Mhm.
a project attached to that, or he just go dot and then he just doesn't have. And here, goals prep is pretty much what the goal of that meeting is.
Mhm.
Or he's like, oh, you know what? I'm meeting with Maria because I'm doing a webinar on
Mhm.
how I'm like working on all my time management analysis and everything. I need to do my homework. And Maria actually yesterday sent him the link to the demo document, you
Mhm.
know? But there is no more like going to Slack, going to inbox, where is the demo link, or whatever. He just goes and automatically adds it here, and this little arrow that opens the document that was linked to it. So I've seen many of my colleagues where like when they do agendas for their bosses and they like sometimes send them links every single day, sometimes print
Mhm.
print the
Love
document,
printing.
yeah, you know, um, and then it takes a toll on us because we need to keep track of like, hey,
Yeah.
Joe, was the link that I have from last week, is that the most current document for this
Mhm.
meeting or no? So then I don't have to go through that anymore.
Yeah.
As soon as they email to me, I add it here and then it's all there.
Mhm.
I This is another view, which is the same table but by category, which I think is great, and that's the one I
Mhm.
kind of like to see. Um, why? Because I can like, again, we all are very good. I think we're very visual, all of us.
Yeah.
So like if this like work general, if I see this way too long, I'll be like, wait, hold on, what's going on? Why do we have this? Um, you can collapse this. You can actually here, let me see, you can show the row count, you can count how many rows
Cool.
per group you have. So that's kind of what I like to do. I like to keep them under 15 for like
Yeah.
more general. I know already Salon one,
Mhm.
but anyway. So and then here he can go to. Let me just collapse this, and then he can see by project. Right, project
Mhm.
one is having all these meetings, blah blah blah, and then the last one, analytics. Don't we all love charts?
Ooh.
So this is a thing when we talk about being visual. This is a thing what I love, and I think what he loves as
Yeah.
well is like you priorities and projects, sorry, and priorities. So you can see how much time he's spending. If you see the 28.17, how much
Mhm.
time he's spending on a specific category or specific
Yeah.
project. And I think that this is what will allows us to, if he's like, hey, Monica, I'm going to be working, we're launching something. So I need to pretty much clear, most of my time should be dedicated to that.
Right.
I know already that general are company-wide meetings that happen every week. So I know they're always going to be 6.5. There is no, we will never cancel those, right? So
Yes.
they add up 6.5 hours a week. But then, for example, it's like, oh, let me see if I can make this green like shorter, and then the same thing with blue.
Mhm.
So pretty much everything, all of his time can go to yellow, and
Yeah.
things like that. And then
Cool.
here is pretty much the same thing. And these are all, if you see, all these tables are linked. They all come from like
Mhm.
your Google Calendar or from meeting
It's the same
requests.
thing. Yeah.
They're all linked. The only thing you change is the type of table you want to use. Either a table
Mhm.
with rows, like I like, or a table that he likes to do with grouping on the top and left.
Mhm.
And then, or you just like go chart view.
Yeah. Make
And
it a bar
then,
chart.
yeah.
Cool.
And then this one's here is just pretty much he's just looking at his priority stuff. And then if you all about numbers here and summing and
Mhm.
adding times 5 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours, and things like that. And
Mhm.
which meeting is linked to that specific
Yeah.
priority that he's giving me.
What I love about this is it lets
But
you, because
anyway,
sometimes, we like go through our days and our weeks and we feel like we're being really productive and we're doing all things, we're busy. But sometimes it takes like seeing it in a chart to go, oh, wow, I'm spending so much time on like things that aren't necessarily the most impactful for my business. But this
mhm.
allows like both you and Shashir to like level set, oh, how are we doing on like making sure that we're spending our time on the most impactful tasks, processes, and all of that. I love that it like kind of lets you step back and go, how am I really doing? I feel busy, but am I busy on the right stuff? That's awesome.
Yeah,
Love that.
absolutely. I think that this also, um, I think the way that we help the people we support is like, it's just not about like, again, I'm going back, it's not just about like adding things to a calendar and schedule meetings. It's
Mhm.
about pretty much prepping their week, and it's just not about like, oh, you need to go here and there, blah blah blah. It's about like, okay, hold on, I think that you're running way behind on this, or we are allocating way too much time to this and not to this.
Mhm.
But don't, are we launch, like I'm just using launch as an example.
Yeah,
Aren't we launching? Shouldn't you be working on this more and things like that? And I think
totally.
that for us as like the EAs, the admins, the admin business partners and everything, we kind of want to have that impact as well.
Mhm.
And for the way I see this as well, then it helps me and then apply it to my world. Because before,
Yeah.
you can see my calendar, it might be blank, but I'm like busy all day, right?
Yes.
Where is my time going? Like I've
Mhm.
been busy all day. However, I didn't finish this project or this project. Why? So
Yeah.
now I'm kind of taking this approach and actually applying to my life as well in a way that I'm
Cool.
more productive. I can be more helpful to him, more helpful to my team, or whoever comes and asks for help.
Mhm. Awesome. Well, just a quick time check. We've got about 5 minutes left. So, Monica, do you want to take a look at the trip section, or do we want to go back to the
Oh,
sync and kind of show how
yes.
all of this comes back together? What do you think?
I'm going to trade section pretty quick, guys, because I think
Okay,
this is like
cool.
super cool. So, all right, let's say case scenario. I only have like 5 minutes. Case scenario. Shishir was going. Well, it got canceled, unfortunately, but he was going to the lobby conference, which happens in Hawaii. So, don't we all? Okay, think about this. How do you go about when you need to book flights for your boss and you don't want them to be like, hey, you book it your own, because then when that booking like the wrong time, wrong date, and
Mhm.
you know how that goes. Um, so pretty much you look at the calendar, you look at the event agenda. Okay, you need to get there by this time. You need to leave by this time. But then
Mhm.
I found myself before I had to I would type an email or I would write a piece of paper and then I grab him between meetings and be like, hey, so
Quick.
do you want to leave from this airport or this airport to this airport at this time?
Mhm.
Gosh, poor guy. Like he will be like, I don't know. So now what I
Ugh.
do is like I, based on the flights that I think will work for him, I just go here and I just add them. So this is a trip ID. I'm gonna go back a little bit for 1 second to my world here, and when you see meeting request here on the right, let me just hide this break quick, and then I'm gonna open one here just so you can see how it looks
Mhm.
inside. Or you can actually, if you want to, you can add here any details. Here, there's trip ID. So what I
Cool.
do is that meeting request, if he's like, hey, Adam is going to lobby, can you please make sure I meet with him? I'm like, of course. So I want to make sure that Adam shows up in the agenda I'm building for him with all these meeting requests taking place while he's in Hawaii for this conference. So I'm just going to go ahead and select lobby. And that's it. That's all I have to do. So when I go here, and then you're going to see that later when I go to like lobby list and everything. But when it comes to flight selectors, I pretty much select the flight ID, the trip ID that I created. We're very particular. It's very tip, always keep the same format. Location, year, and month is just easier for later to find out.
Totally.
Especially when you're like, how did we do it last year? Yeah. And then I add here all the options. And then if there are any notes, for example, here, you see the reception is at 6 p.m. local. So this one, he will be arriving at 7 p.m. So it's kind of like, hey, FYI, you're going to be arriving late. So keep that in mind. So I add here the options that I think the different airports where he will be taking off.
Yeah.
And then he just, and I just ping him. I'll be like, hey, by the way, flights for Hawaii, you need to pick them. I'll put that in my little task over here.
Yep.
I'll be like, hey, select flights for Hawaii. So he knows, he's gonna be like, okay. He's gonna go here and he's gonna select, I wanna go here, and then this one here, and I want this one. And if you see here, he went to Seattle, so he did the same thing. So that way I don't have to like wait for him to be like, hey, and try to explain the reasoning behind why he should take this one.
I love that.
He just goes there. So this is my master. I call it my master. This is where I have all my flights and everything. But then where are you gonna see it? You're gonna see here. I'm gonna go to lobby and I'm like, hey, which flight did he selected? So here notes, he just adds whatever he writes, and planning flight options, voila. So the ones that he selected are shown here. So I know that those are his flight options. Now, agenda. You're familiar with this when they're like, oh, the agenda is this, and they send you a PDF with like 10, 12 events, and you have to manually, and you're like, hey, can you please add it to my calendar? It makes sense. And I'm like, oh my God, and I have to add one by one and everything. So what happens here, talk about packs and automations. So what I do is like pretty much I just like copy the name here that I want, the trip ID, because I want to link everything to the specific trip ID when I create an agenda. The date, what time it starts, what time ends, and then there is these little buttons. These ones are disabled because I already used them. But what this is going to happen, I'm going to click it, and I create a rule that once it's added to the calendar, it doesn't show, it gets deactivated because I don't want to keep adding the same event over.
You've got 20 of the same event. Go.
Yeah. So what this is going to do is like in Google Calendars, because it's linked, this button here is linked to Google Calendars here. Create an event, the task, which is, you see they call them the task here, and the conference days and everything. So I don't have to go to Google Calendar anymore. I have to add one by one. I just push the button and automatically shows up in Shishire's calendar.
Amazing.
And it's amazing. And then here, now going back, remember when I went to Adam and I selected trip ID for lobby? There you go. So here are all the meetings, and this is kind of where I create all the tasks and all the events that related to that specific trip. And this is for my planning. This is my section. This is where I keep track. It's red because I haven't done anything. It's new. The flight was already confirmed. But if Adam goes to confirm, he's gonna go green. And I know I don't have to do anything about it. And then
remember that everybody, that is just a view of the same table that we saw in MC World. So Monica doesn't have to be jumping to every trip to plan it. She can be in the trip view working on that, or she could be just in MC World doing her thing there, and it's all going to hold true because it's the same data. Nice.
Yep. Adam is going to show here in my confirmed meetings. There we go. So you see, when I change it, because all the tables are linked, everything keeps added like there. And then I'm going to go back to lobby conference. And then here is the whole trip of the full agenda. So once I confirm everything is going to show here.
Nice.
And then here, you remember what I told you that you guys can have different views of the same table. You can do normal table. You can do charts. You can also do calendar.
Ta-da!
So yes. So once that all those meetings, once I will see, you see this last sync was 26 minutes ago, right?
Mhm.
Remember I told you can manually sync it. So if I will manually sync all these events that were to lobby, this is filtered to show me events only with that trip ID.
Cool.
It's gonna show here, 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 here. So
Nice.
that you get a counter view only of the meeting requests and events taking place with that trip ID. So you don't
Cool.
have you can go to Jiggle and just see all the stuff, all the meetings and everything, Coda meetings, lobby and
Uh-huh.
everything. But this one will only show you those for lobby.
So that if Shashir is then at the conference, he can open this up on his phone and be able to see everything just for that. And now,
Yes.
Monica, since we are at the end of our time, I think it might just make sense just to jump back to the MC sync, the MC SSM sync, just to kind of summarize, like, remember all of the things that we saw today under the hood come in here. So the input needed, that's populated by the notes they leave for each other. The categorization, that's populated by the same, like, here's all of the stuff coming in from Gmail and from Calendar, and same thing with categorization. So all of this is that summary of everything that we saw from when Monica and Shashir are doing their deep work in their own separate worlds.
Yes,
Cool.
exactly. Again, I think everything comes from Gmail and Gcall, which you already use. The way that it works is just like kind of getting all the information from both apps and just putting them here and just help you to have like a very like flawless like interaction with the person you're supporting and
Totally.
help you with your own personal workflow during the day, every day.
Right on. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Monica, for sharing some of your incredibly valuable time with us. For everybody who's joined in on the call, we will be publishing a blog post with all of the details of kind of breaking this down in a little bit more depth. And we're going to be working on trying to make a templated version that's a little bit more easy to get started with, since this is like the summary of Monica's and Shashir's entire working relationship from 7 years culminating in this moment. But we want to give you all like a good starter template to work on this as well. So remember, if you ever need any help, get in touch with us at Coda Support. We are here to assist you. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Take care out there and let us know if we can ever be of any help. Thank you so much, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, Monica.